My name is Haeser from MaxServ, and
I'm Joost.
Yeah, so
I'm the founder and CEO of Yoast, which, if any of you ever starts a company, don't name it after yourself. It's probably my worst mistake ever.
yeah. So today we would like to take a look back. Last year at this conference we launched version 1 of Yoast SEO for TYPO3, and since then a lot of things happened. We'll take a look back. We will take a look at how things are done at the moment, which plugins we have, what options and information about that, and also a little bit in the future how to continue this development. So, who is using the TYPO3 plugin for Yoast? Do you use version 2? Yeah? Okay. You should really start using version 2. But that's always.
You should always update to the
always
latest
update. But okay, it's good to see that only a few installed version 2. At my demo I will also show some things about the 2 version. But a lot of TYPO3 extensions were there, and we thought something was missing, a real solution for SEO, not only the technical part, giving you the options to add meta description or stuff like that. Yeah, the Yoast plugin for WordPress, yeah, do we have to say that?
Well, the question is, who here also has a WordPress site lying around somewhere? A few. You all should for research purposes. Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I was in Tracy, right? Tracy's talk earlier, and I hear all these things about marketing, like how do we get right, how do we make writing materials, and what type of guidelines do we give people to write. You could just install Yoast SEO and you're basically done.
Yeah.
I can check. It helps if it's on, apparently.
Check it louder.
Better?
Yeah, I hear you.
Much better? Yes? If not, I'll shout.
So, we came up with Yoast SEO for TYPO3. Last year at this event, the same thing, yeah.
Slightly better outfit now.
Yeah. You're not Brendan. I thought, okay, you're Brendan. Some statistics. We have over 10,000 installations for Yoast. For WordPress, it's 10,000. But for us, it's quite reasonable.
We add that like every hour on WordPress, but yeah, well, it's another scale.
So, only the last 30 days, it's installed over 2,000 times. You have a growing number of contributors, not all very large contributors, but even adding a bug, reporting a bug, please do it. So far we have 17 updates. That's not completely right.
No,
30 minutes ago it's 18, so check 18. Because we're now at the present time. Things we already had. If you've used the plugin, you know we have the focus keyword analysis, the readability analysis, you have the snippet preview, and some social share optimization. Who of you don't know this part? What it exactly do? And
I won't shout, I promise.
So, okay. As I've said, we've just released version 2.0. Because a lot of people doesn't use version 2 right now. The big change of version 2 was that it's completely moved from a backend module into TCA. So that part makes it possible to integrate it into your own records. So if you want it in Xnews, for example, it's possible. If you want it in your own extension, it's possible. So it makes it easier to use Yoast SEO not only for pages, but also for all other kind of records. That was the main change in version 2, and besides that, it's also having some small updates in the analysis. The guys of Yoast, every 2 weeks.
We do a release every 2 weeks of our content analysis library. So Yoast is a company that is based in Wiegen here, just 60 kilometers up north. We have just over 80 people working for us right now, of which a team of about 10 is continuously working on improving our content analysis. So we add support for more languages, we add better readability tests, we add stuff around SEO that we think is better for how Google currently handles content on a site, and so all these different things, and we continuously update that and drive Richard mad, so he has to update the plugin every other week to basically incorporate our changes.
Yeah. So that's quite hard to, because they have a lot of people working on this project, and
Sorry.
yeah, no, but we made a statement, and that's one of the things from now on, every month, there will be an update from the Yoast plugin as well, to sort of catch up with the Yoast guys, and every month the analysis.
And girls.
And girls, sorry, yeah, a lot of girls. I've seen the photo.
We're literally a 50-50 company, so.
So every month from now on there will be an update, and that's just a small update, maybe just the analysis that is updated, but yeah. Yeah, we want to see things. Yeah, I hope.
It's a lot better than last year.
Yeah. Last year I just found out that the responsive backend was not quite the thing on a very...
Oh, responsive has its limits.
Yeah. So, but now I hope, can everybody see things, or...
Well, you should
Do I need
zoom in a bit, I guess.
Yeah, and then my cursor. What's my cursor?
We should get a better icon.
I don't see my mouse. I see my hover. Okay. Live demos always work. It's really.
Go on, I'll wait.
Yeah. There it is. Yeah. Yeah.
And you've got a mouse.
So
Fancy.
let's do that. Okay. The third thing is that it is just okay, this is and I will those buttons I wasn't aware of in the last demo here. So we have the snippet preview just in the page isn't really changed. One thing changed, and that's this part. We've moved it more to the top, and from accessibility reasons, we also, it's not only the green or the orange or red mark, but also the text version.
Turns out that when you're colorblind, you actually can't really see a green bullet or an orange bullet.
So, but one of the missing features was we have the analysis here, but we want to see it. And that's why we just, a small change, but it's more information on this place, and yeah, you can see what is your focus keyword and the analysis itself.
Yeah, so these analyses we work on a lot. Actually, we have an update coming out in a couple of months where we've done some research into all the bullet points that you see here, like which ones are still valid, which ones are different now in this day and age of how Google works. What can we add, what can we remove? So there's an update coming at some point later this year where we'll change a lot of these. Yeah. Luckily for him, the only thing he has to do is update the library and then it all works. What's very important for me to tell you at this point is that all these analyses are done in your browser. So they're not done on a server on our side or anything else. All of this is done in JavaScript in your browser. So none of your content leaves your site. And all of it stays private to you, which is something that we value a lot. And that given the GDPR, we're actually very happy we did.
Yeah. So that's why if you take a look at the GitHub repository. So, yeah.
Is this already you want to ask a question or?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So all the color coding, green, orange, red, is it just actually based on linear scale?
Okay, the color coding, is it the green, orange, red, is it based on a linear scale? And is it maybe easier to have the scale actually, so you get an idea how important it is to edit something, to change something?
They're all based on different scales, which is why we don't show the numbers, because you'd go nuts. Although a few geeks in the world might say, I'd actually like to see the numbers, but the vast majority of people will probably say, give me these things. If it's red, we usually tell you, yeah, you should really fix that. We also calculate an overall score. As you can see, the readability score I think is good, but I don't know if you click on it, do you have any orange bullets? Because you can still have an overall score that's good even though there's a couple of things that are not as much to our liking as we want it to be. So we do differ in these things, and we try to not make you over-optimize copy, because the worst thing in the world is over-optimized SEO copy. Which is one of the reasons why we started working on readability checks, because the SEO world has not done itself a very good service in how it has promoted itself in the last decade. And there's a lot of bad copy out there with like very optimized texts that read, if you want to buy this chair, then you should get this chair at this chair shop, which also has a lot of other chairs, and it's absolutely horrendous. So we try to actually make you write text that's readable and fun to read. But yeah, so there's a grading system underneath, and you can look at the code. It's yoastseo.js on GitHub. All of it's open source, so by all means look at it. But it's a lot of work. We have a team of 4 linguists working on this all the time, so there's a lot of analyses there, and a lot of these analyses actually differ per language as well. So we now support 8 languages, we're adding more. I was just talking to Matthias earlier, we're currently working on Japanese, which turns out to be an extreme pain, because there's this thing called word boundaries. Normal people call them spaces. Japanese doesn't have those, which makes analyzing text a lot harder. So there's a lot of work that goes into all of that, a lot of research and a lot of, well, underlying basic, very practical linguistic research that we then try and put into this. So there is scoring underneath. You could probably work out a module to see all the scoring, but I'd recommend you not to, because you'll go nuts.
Okay, thanks. Joost, so I had a look at
But if you're an end user, I would seriously recommend not looking at the scoring algorithms.
So you give recommendations as well?
Yes.
Is this for everything we always give a recommendation?
Yeah, we try to make, and that's one of the biggest changes that we'll make in this bigger update coming later this year, is that most bullets now are actionable. At that point, every bullet will be actionable, because I hate giving feedback that's not actionable. So, and one of the things that we do in WordPress that I don't think we can do in TYPO3 yet is actually highlight the places in your copy where you need to work. So if we say you've got like this much of your text is passive voice, and you should change that to active, and then you can just click a button and we'll show you which sentences in your copy are passive voice, and so you can, and then you can start changing them.
I think the readability thing, you can do that on a content level based, so you can just, so maybe that's the future.
It's hard.
Still in the present.
Yeah. I know how hard markings are in content output as well. It's incredibly hard to do.
I've just put up, this is just base properties of the page, and you can see the score here as well above all the tabs, but yeah, we have the Yoast SEO tab. You can see the snippet preview again. You can also choose the mobile version. Yeah, you see some small differences also in the SEO title. So it's green for both now. Still, the big update of the meta description length. Yeah. Also one of the updates of.
Yeah. So who here?
Yeah, of course.
Who here has seen that Google's results have changed in the last few months? Where results were usually have like 2 lines of description, and suddenly they have like 3-4 lines of description underneath. We adapted to that in our snippet preview, but we're also doing a lot of research into what actually makes a meta description show as a snippet in a search result, and what it doesn't show, and how can you make sure that your snippet is actually your meta description, and what can you do about that, and all that stuff. So we're doing a lot of underlying research to feed into that. But we try to keep up with what the result looks like in Google and actually give you a proper snippet preview for what it currently looks like.
About that? About, for example, the description used to be like 140 characters,
yeah.
Like SMS, but you said
so
it's becoming longer in some cases.
I hope that I'm wrong in this, but my current advice would be to not spend time writing meta descriptions. And just write better copy in your text, and Google will create a snippet for you themselves, and they will do a better job than you will.
Because I have found that indeed sometimes they just get ignored.
It's not just sometimes, it's like 90% of the time they ignore the meta description at the moment. So that's why we're doing some pretty hefty tests right now. I've been writing meta descriptions myself for like 50 pages, and so I've 10 other members of my team to see like, okay, well, can we get the meta description to show up in Google, and can we make it work? Google is a weird beast sometimes, but right now my advice would be to not write meta descriptions at all. Just don't spend the time on it. But we'll have to. Sorry?
So no meta text at all, because keywords are always.
Keywords have not been used in like 10 years. So yeah, at this point that means that writing better copy is probably a better way of spending your time than writing meta descriptions.
So you see one little checkbox over here, and I have to zoom out to see what it means. Maybe you can already talk. Cornerstone content. What is Cornerstone content?
So on your site, you'll have pages that are more important than other pages. You'll have those pages that actually tell people about things that you think are really important, and you'll have underlying material. We think that every site probably has a couple, up to maybe a dozen pieces of cornerstone content, the pieces of content on your site that really, really matter. And what we do is we give you the chance to mark something as cornerstone content, and then we'll show it a lot more in internal linking suggestions, which is something we'll talk about later. We'll give you some ways of figuring out, am I doing this cornerstone content right? Does it get enough links internally in my site? Do I feature this content enough? Because it's very hard to optimize your site structure on the fly as you're writing your text if you don't know which pages on your site are more important than others. So now you can actually flag them and say, okay, these are Cornerstone content, and everything else is important, but not as important as those Cornerstone content pieces. And then we can help you optimize your site structure in such a way that you actually highlight those pages better.
So one of the things, it's Cornerstone content. So a lot of, no. If you check, for example, now if the Cornerstone content and my SEO score is medium.
Yeah, we get a bit stricter.
And when it's not a Cornerstone content, it's okay.
So for Cornerstone content, we have higher demands. If you say something is Cornerstone content, then it should be longer. It should be better optimized. It should be, well, it should be the best text on your site, basically. I've literally looked at thousands of sites in my career as an SEO, and almost every site has like 1, 2, 3 pages that get like 30 to 40% of all the traffic to that site. On Yoast.com, it's the WordPress SEO article that we have that still gets like 20% of all our traffic comes in on that specific article, which is 20% of over 1 million page views every month, just for one article, because it's ranking so well for a couple of terms that so many people are searching for. So that's why we thought we need to highlight these, we need to give you some stricter terms around these very important articles and give you a better method of optimizing your site using these. So the checks get harder, but there's a lot more that ties into this.
Yeah. One of the things, we are not SEO specialists, so at a lot of these things, it's just a link with a lot of more information on the Yoast.com website. So if you want to read about Cornerstone content, what it is, read it, and you will find a lot of information about it.
Yeah, basically every green bullet has a link in it that you can click with, that goes to our site with more information on why we have that specific check. We write a lot of content.
Yep.
Or I should say, my wife writes a lot of content.
So, just check it. It's a lot of information and it will definitely help you in writing better content. So, this is part 1. Mattis is not here. There. But we have more.
We made this specifically for Matthias.
Yeah.
Well.
We'll make sure that he's getting. So, I've just teased him yesterday, but we've already announced it earlier. For the WordPress version, it's, I don't know how long you have already a premium version, but
2.5 years. It's what kickstarted the growth of our company.
And that's now one of the things for Trajectory as well. You can see the features we already spoke. It's all free. You can use it, and there are only a couple of features that we think, okay, you don't really need them, but it makes it easier for you. And as we also want to make a little bit of money about it.
Well, you do.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I know. So there are some features that are in the premium version, and that version is released today as well.
And one of them is actually stolen by TYPO3 core already, I saw.
No, the ID, and after that, we will come to that. So one of the things that you saw just that I was optimizing for one focus keyword. Some pages you do want to have more focus keywords to be enhanced.
Yeah, you want to optimize for synonyms, for instance. If you have like several synonyms in one word, then
So that's one of the things. The redirect manager. The thing that is in core now, CMS9, cool, very cool. I use a lot of the IDs and stuff to backport it to CMS 7 and 8. because that's not the real thing for us, because they did a reasonable job. And for example, the right headers and stuff, so that's cool. But the only thing we were missing was just the feedback if you create a redirect. And you create it to a 404 or maybe another redirect, giving the editor the feedback to say, hey, you're creating a redirect, but that's a redirect himself. So that's a little bit silly. So that kind of things are in a redirect manager. We have the keyword insights.
Yeah, that's an analysis that we run that basically tells you which words you've used in your content and what are the most prominent words in your content. So we have a prominent words algorithm that we run in JavaScript over your content to see what are the most prominent words in your copy. If you have a focus keyword for the text and the keyword insights tell you that another word is the most prominent word in your copy, you're doing something wrong. So it's a good way to verify against yourself. So I actually like the last one most.
Yeah, orphan content.
Because that's the thing that happens in every CMS. You create pages, you create more pages, you create even more pages. You delete some pages that you created halfway through, and then you suddenly have pages that nobody will ever be able to get to anymore. These orphan pages are there, but nobody will see them, and they won't rank. And stupidly enough, through XML sitemaps, Google will still index them because it will still know they exist because they are in the XML sitemap, but they will never rank because they don't have any links. So with the orphan content filter, you can actually find pages on your site that might be important, but that don't have any links anymore.
The funny thing was, I was at the office at Yoast and talking about features of the premium and okay, the orphan content, and I think the developers all know the reference index. So this was a feature that was quite easy for me.
In WordPress, this is bloody hard.
So I told Omar, their CTO, and I know he was just going to your room.
Yeah.
They have this. Yeah, we have.
The thing is, we love WordPress, but we also hate it. Because technically, like, WordPress is not even well, it shouldn't be mentioned here. It's not that good. And well, these things are the moments where you go like, oh, we wish we had that in WordPress, but yeah, can't have it all.
So it was more about making an overview of orphaned pages than it was to detect orphaned pages. Of course, your reference index has to be updated, so, but I hope you all know how to do that. Okay, just going to my installation. Again, lost my...
You've lost your mouse again?
Yep, and it's back. So, I already have it. I only have to...
Does it deactivate the other one?
Nope. It's based on. So it's extending the free version.
It's good info.
So, again, you can see we have some modules over here, and the dashboard and the overview. It's all in the free version as well. Yeah, we do have a little dashboard which will contain a lot more information about which pages do need some attention. That's the future. But this is more information.
Well, if you set up a multilingual site, you should definitely check out that multilingual SEO training.
Oh, definitely.
Nuts, because it's so hard, but it's also very good.
Yeah, make sure these trainings. I'm in the process of doing all their trainings, and okay, I think I have to make a lot of time to do those because it's a lot of content.
It's a lot of content. We record about 10 to 15 videos each week for these courses, so it's a lot. We produce a lot of stuff.
So we have just the, that's cool as well. The redirect manager. I will start with that. Hey, it looks familiar, I think. I will just, the only thing is that we added a search box. Yeah, looks the same, but let's create a redirect to, for example, and where is opening my pop-up now?
Because it's a live demo, it's breaking.
Yeah, it's not breaking. I missed my pop-up. Yeah, it's a missing feature.
It's trying to load something over HTTP as well.
No, it's my other window. Just check it. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's say, okay, I want a link to this, and I want to try it. It's a disabled page. It's giving me information about my redirect. So you try to link to a page that is not available for a front-end user. So you receive 404, and this is a real check. So by an AJAX call, it's just checking the URL you are linking to, and yeah, getting the status code and check that. For example, if you're using should do it this way. This page returns at 301. So even if you create a redirect to a redirect, because this is a redirect to a page with a slash,
That's only slightly annoying.
Yeah. The URLs that will be created are with a slash. But if you take, for example, if you have short link or stuff like that, it will just say, okay, do you really want to make a redirect to a redirect? So, but you always can do, yeah, just save anyway, because I know better. No, that's fine. But we want. All the same features that are in core, because it's not our idea to have a new redirect manager, because we were talking about that, redirect manager, and before we started creating that plugin with Benny, and I talked a lot, and okay, yeah, it will be in CMS9, so okay, then we don't gonna put a lot of effort in it.
Which is an awesome idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome.
Definitely.
CMS9 will happen, so that's just good.
So the redirect manager, you will get that. The overview, and one of the things that is just, yeah, it's quite a large resolution. First of all, you have the several things. You have the Cornerstone content filter that just shows you the pages you have marked as Cornerstone content. And again, make sure that to have more information about the Cornerstone content. But you can also see that, okay, how is my page scoring? So we keep the last scoring, we will save it in the database on the record, and that makes it easier to get those overviews, because if you have a lot of pages, and for example, if you have orphaned content, I only have 5 now. But if you have a lot of orphaned content and it's checking at this moment all those pages for your score, it's
It's going to be slow, yeah.
yeah, so you have to wait for it. So the only reason why this score is changed is or due to an update of the analysis, or if you change something in your record. And when you're changing something in your record, the new score will be saved into the database. So that's one of the things. So you have a clear overview of, okay, I have to fix those pages. For orphaned content, I think the scoring is less of your problems, because you first have to create links to it. This is all about internal link, because we can check if it is on another website.
Well, we could, but we don't want to. You have, if a page is on your site and you're not linking to it on your site, then you're doing it wrong. It's as simple as that. So it has to be linked from somewhere, and it has to it should probably be linked from somewhere decent within your site.
Question: if a page is in the menu, is that a link?
This is a tough one. I honestly think that links should be in content as much as possible, and not just because they have to be in content, but because they have to be in context. And the menu, whether that be a menu on the top of your site or in your footer, doesn't give any context to a link. And Google uses context around links a lot to determine what a page is about. So you have to link to pages in context of what they're about if you want to really transfer value to that page. So thinking of it like that is a lot easier. If you really grasp this, you also understand why Wikipedia regs as well as it does. Because every single link within Wikipedia is in content, in context. So that's why it's as strong as it is, and that's why basically every site should look like that. Not necessarily as ugly as Wikipedia, but it should have the links like Wikipedia does.
So we have the overview of orphaned content, and make sure this list is as small as possible. Yeah.
Well, I would actually say this should be empty on most pages, on most Git sites.
Overview of course, this overview should be removed.
At some point, we'll probably tell you to do that.
Yeah.
Yes. As I said, we're still doing the research, so I hope in 2 months' time I'll be able to come back and say, yeah, you should definitely write meta descriptions, and we've figured out exactly how you should do that, and these are the rules for meta description now, and we'll update the analysis and give you the best feedback we can. Yeah. Honestly, though, I don't think that will happen.
No. So I think this is an overview of pages that isn't quite needed anymore.
No,
if you will, it's just to ensure.
We'll probably replace this with pages with a bad SEO score.
For example, this is only the beginning of this overview, because we can add as many filters as we want. So if there are some filters in the backend of the WordPress, but it's also quite limited, I think.
We have, so in the backend of WordPress, we have filters for every different score type.
Okay. Oh.
So that's something that we could pretty easily add.
Yeah. So
and orphan content, those are the two ones that we have right now.
Yeah. So those will be more and more. One of the things that was the keyword insight. And okay, if you're thinking I'm a dev and I don't need to see my scoring every time, you can just, I want to see it. But, one of the things is that you have now multiple keywords. So I have Yoast and it's checking, and I have TYPO3. It will check all the keywords that I've added, and I can just create a new one saying SEO, save. So
you can see it's pretty fast. it's actually a page of content that it has to analyze in JavaScript in your browser, and it has to do all these analyses on.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes you'll have to wait a bit, because it has to, well, it's doing it in your browser. And depending on how fast your laptop or computer is, it might be somewhat slower than on one computer versus the other.
One of the things, it's more about how the inline records are working in TYPO3. I can only check at the moment, only check for a decent reason the focus keyword when it's opened, because this content is it's rendered when you click it. So I don't have the field at the moment, but it's a little bit hard to grab the title from the header. So that's one of the things why it's just going to check your content when you click it open, but that's one of the things we are working on to edit. As you can see, I have 3 focus keywords: Yoast, TYPO3 and SEO.
And none of them
So
appear.
I have terrible keywords.
Absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, because I don't write about it. I've put it on the places that my analysis taught me to use things, and only on those.
Yeah.
And you can see this is really, really important to check your real content. And
So this checks the complete set of content and sees which words you've used most and are placed most prominently. One of the things we're actually working on right now, which is also going to be cool for this, but maybe slightly hard to implement in TYPO3, is keyword distribution. To see, like, okay, so you want to rank for this keyword. We don't want you to just mention that keyword 3 times in the first paragraph and then nowhere else. We want you to mention it across your text. So we're building a keyword distribution check where we actually check whether the keyword exists on multiple places within your copy. So that if it's really the main word of your copy, then it should probably appear in the beginning, the end, and somewhere in the middle. If it doesn't, well, then you're doing your keyword distribution wrong, and we'll tell you. And that would actually probably automatically fix this for you, because then you'd automatically be told to, hey,
maybe you should have your focus keyword on several places. This is quite important also for the link building.
Yeah.
The link building is one of the things that is missing in this release, because we talked about it, and there will be a little bit of a change on how to check that.
It's one of those points where we get better because we work with TYPO3 as well. What we do on WordPress, and which we plan to do on TYPO3, is give you internal linking suggestions. So as you're typing, we want to give you suggestions on other pieces of content within your site that you should link to, so that it gets easier to link internally to other relevant pages around your topic. And as you do that, if you can imagine, if you keep doing that within your site, then you'll automatically create a better link profile for your site internally. To do that, we need to run this analysis on every bit of content in your site, which is probably one of the problems that Richard is running into, because that's easy on a WordPress site because they tend to have like 100 pages, and running the analysis 100 times is not necessarily a problem. If you run around 50,000 pages, you've got a bit of work out of you.
So, together with the guys of Yoast, we will try to figure out how to do that on a good way. And
I think the conclusion was that we had to rebuild that analysis in PHP.
That was the outcome, and now we need to make time. So that's one of the things that we will create a just a separate package, and which will be used by the WordPress version as well as the TYPO3 version, as well as the Magento version, and all the other versions can use this as well. That's the idea.
Yeah. So a lot of this stuff, I mean, Yoast SEO, most of what you're seeing now, most of the front-end facing stuff, is exactly the same code between WordPress TYPO3 and Magento, for which we now have extensions. We're currently talking to 2 other major open source platforms to do Yoast SEO for those platforms as well. All of that code is open source. We share it between everyone. And I hear you talking about Adobe Experience Manager a lot. Well, Adobe's not going to get this. So, because we only work with open source platforms and nothing else. So yeah, I think it's one of the advantages that we can give you that they don't have.
I think it's yeah. Okay. Some business. Yeah. you can order now, and if you are quick, you can have some discount. Of course, there will be tweets and things and a lot of
thanks from us if you buy this, because we can afford Richard's salary and stuff.
So yeah, if you like the premium versions, please. URL will be online. It's included 1 year of free updates and support, and that's.
Do we have something about how to install that as well?
How to install it?
Yeah, because people will be afraid that we're like WordPress people that want zips.
Yeah.
We actually have built for you guys a Composer repository that you can. So you get an account on my Yoast, you'll get a key, and you'll be able to use Composer and install Yoast SEO Premium through Composer properly within your sites.
I had a session yesterday with the guys at Yoast to test the checkout process, and with 15 minutes we were done because it was quite easy. Just you get a link in your My Yoast where all your subscriptions are, and you can just say, okay, I want to download it, and you get an option how to install it by Composer, or how to you can download a zip file if you like, but okay. I think most of the devs here are more Composer based. So when they ask me for, do you have a zip file? Zip file. Why? You have Composer.
Unfortunately, in the WordPress world, almost everything uses a zip file.
But okay, after all, the extension repository worked with zip files as well, so it was not quite hard. But okay.
No, it's good for us as well because we use Composer, of course, because there are WordPress developers that actually are developers, but most people in the WordPress world can't do that.
So we're quite, I think, out of time, but one of it's more like a wish list, sort of, but these are things that are coming. XML sitemaps, stuff like that. If he thinks it's important enough. And it's a question I get a lot.
I'm still working with Google on actually killing XML sitemaps entirely, but in favor of something less stupid. I would prefer the second, but I'd actually prefer that to be in CMS9.
That will.
hreflang is how you indicate having different language versions of a page. And since TYPO3 is like the only CMS I know with really proper multilingual support, I would really like to give it also really proper hreflang support in core.
About this, I've talked a lot with several people about this, and we have to make a complete overview of all possibilities of translation and stuff. That's more the important thing. We don't want to miss one way to configure it. We have breadcrumbs. There's a question, one of our customers. Good breadcrumbs that will show up into your the snippets. And one of the things that is quite easy in the WordPress version is the setup wizard. And I've seen they are making progress in that as well in the WordPress version.
It's actually a completely separate React component, so it should be pretty easy to port to TYPO3.
So just configuring your website with all the important details about, do you want to index several pages or?
Yeah, we try to actually make those human-like questions. So is this a one author site or a multiple author site? Do you want to index, do you want this content type to show up in search results, or do you not want this content type to show up in search results? I mean, if we ask you, do you want to no index invoices, and you're not technical, then you maybe don't know what we mean. If we ask you, do you want invoices to show up in search results, then you'll probably say no, which is the good choice, I think, for most people.
Yeah. So those are the things that are coming into Yoast SEO, because one of the things things are coming to CMS 9. We are aiming for the last two LTS versions, so 7 and 8 at the moment. So just the same as the redirect manager, we backported things and we make sure that it's almost the same as it is in the new version. And the same with the field names. The version 2 was also a change of field names in the database, which has an update wizard. Because we were moving to the fields that will be in core. So you don't have to upgrade your data if you're upgrading from CMS 8 to 9. So be in line with core is very important in this. Some things in premium version, social previews.
Yeah, so what will this page look like when it's shared on Facebook, and what will this page look like when it's shared on Twitter? That's very valuable feedback to have when you're writing your copy, to see like, hey, maybe I should put another image in here because this looks weird, or maybe I should optimize the title a bit more for Facebook. So there's a lot of things to think about.
And one of my personal favorites is the internal linking. And
yeah, internal linking is awesome when done well.
Yeah. So
it's funny, I've been in SEO for just over 12 years now, and I find myself literally still doing the same thing I did 12 years ago. That's telling people to better structure your site and to write better content. And of course there are all these technical tricks that change, but 90% of SEO is that. So if we can help you write better content and help you create better internal linking structure, you've literally done 90% of the SEO work.
So if you buy the premium version, this will definitely be in the first year, so you will get this as well. Yeah, as I've already said, we will move some basic features to core. I'm already working on a proof of concept with Gerard Ringer, and I think that's one of the things that are done in a couple of weeks, I think, because we also attend the UX week, and we will work on SEO stuff and other things that are within the reach of the SEO. So,
yeah. Well, at least send one UX designer there, and we'll see if we can send some more people.
Yeah, that's one of the things we get the guys at Yoast with the WordPress view on board to say, okay, maybe mix and match and what's best for. And I'm really looking forward to having those information, and maybe we can, learn from each other.
So Yoast as a company has 80 people in total. We currently have about 8 full-time employees working on WordPress core. So they don't work on our stuff, but they work on WordPress core related things, including lead WordPress releases, etc. The more money we'll make on TYPO3, the more people will send to TYPO3 events, and we'll already send some people in there because we think that giving back to that community is very, very important. But that's just how we work anyway, and it's fun to be able to do it with you guys as well.
Yeah.
It's also very good for our devs, I've noticed, because they get all these ideas about how to do things properly. Don't tell any word count that I ever said that.
Yeah.
Do you guys plan to do anything with structured data, schema, etc.?
So we output. You know that better than I do. We output some data in the WordPress plugin. We do a couple of these things. The problem with schema is that it really depends on what type of data you want to output. So we do the basic things like the website schema, markup, and social profiles, internal search, the things that are the same for every WordPress site. But if you want, for instance, a schema for recipes, it's very specific to your site.
You could make something core in your extension which adds possibility to schema tag on a certain point of certain sort of format.
That's a whole lot easier to do in your data model than it is in WordPress. And I'm definitely open to discussing all those things and seeing what we could do there. On the WordPress side, most of these things have usually been theme territory, so more on the template side than on the plugin side. I'm guessing in TYPO3 we could probably do that slightly better because your data model doesn't suck. I'm definitely, we can discuss those things and see what we can do there.
Yeah. At the moment, to answer, it's not outputting any schema for things, the Type 3 version, but it is definitely on the roadmap.
It's very important.
Well,
yeah,
yes,
but
no.
yeah,
it's important once you've done all the other things right. So that's why I say the internal site structure and the good content is so much more important than getting like the schema.org technical optimization tiny tidbits. If you're working on a recipe site, then yes, it's bloody important. If you're working on specific things where Google does a lot with these results, then it's really important. If you're working on an informational site, not necessarily as much.
so
Matthias, right?
Yeah. Relating to, I mean, you spoke about the challenge of finding related or possible links to make in the text. 50,000 pages. What's your plan in relation to integration with Solar Search, for example, the technologies that are already integrable as third-party plugins?
I don't think we have any plans for that at this point, which doesn't mean that we won't have them, but right now it's not something we've done yet. You're seeing on the WordPress side that more and more WordPress sites are using Elasticsearch for search as well, because internal search in WordPress basically is rubbish, which isn't weird because it's very hard to do. So we'll probably have to come up with something on that side anyway. We're heavy Elasticsearch users ourselves, so I can see us build it, even if just for ourselves. But it's not something that we have on the roadmap right now.
because we are quite out of time, we have a GitHub repo. Please contribute. We have some more information. We will send out tweets and things like that. Yeah, quite a hurry up at the moment, but 15 minutes late, I think.
Are we?
Yep. So
Did
we
you
talk a lot.
Did I talk so much, or did you? I'm sorry.
We both. So, are there any more questions? I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think end users are eager to start using front-end possibilities in version 9.
For example, also the SEO plugin of Yoast. Are you already in touch with the guys?
Yeah, we have spoken. The thing is that in our timeline it was quite hard to, because we need to create a proper solution to check against, and it was not at our priority list at the moment, but we definitely have to make sure that we can interact with each other. Yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you, and yeah, I hope you have seen some new cool features that you want to use. You should use, I really think.
We just shouldn't talk anymore and get to drinks, right?
Thank you.
Okay, Richard and Joost, thank you very much for your talk. Yes, it took a little bit longer, but the people were very quiet and very listening, so I think they really wanted to keep on talking. Please. Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, but we already heard the people around there from the other track. I want to thank again Richard, Joost, but also what I said this morning. Joost was not here yet. Yeah, we're really part of the TYPO3 community, that we have partners like MaxServ and Yoast and the people from Binder here into the TYPO3 community, building a strong TYPO3 product, but also creating a lot of relationships and things we can learn from each other. We can learn from Yoast from the WordPress side and the other way around. And I hope we can do that in the future very, very much as well. So, thank you for that. And then I want to thank all the people being around here. Some of them won't be here for tomorrow, so I hope you had a very pleasant day today. I want to thank you for that. Thank you for being here. Have a good trip home. For the other people, have a good night tonight. Enjoy the food, enjoy the drinks, and especially enjoy the people who are being here. Thank you all for being here, and I hope to see you tomorrow or next year. Thank you.